In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an XML layout. First, you do the normal File, New, Android application. Call it XML layout. You want the target SDK to be API 18 and compile with the same. Next, we don't need to create a custom launcher icon for this tutorial. And blank activity. Finish. Now, there are two interfaces for the XML layout. You can look at the graphical layout, which is a GUI, and it's sometimes easier for people to manipulate. And you want to change the that little icon, Android icon there, to 18, so that when you run the emulator, it'll be in 18 and not in 20, which is actually KitKat where. Now, change the layout from relative to I like to change that to linear layout because it's easier to change the size and dimensions of different components. Also, it ends up affecting how you view it, how you see it. Bring in, this is called a text view. This is just basically just a label. And there you go, text view example. Here's a button. You can change the text of the button. Now, once again, this is just to show you how to make an XML layout. We're not coding a button or a text view. Of course you can, and I go over that in a different video. That's a toggle button there. Here is a radio button. When you make a radio button, you're going to put it in a group with other radio buttons if you have other radio buttons. If you don't, it might as well just be a checkbox. There's the radio group up there. Now in layouts, you can have a bunch of different components like email, and that'll sort of make a text box with a mask, so it forces the user to input an email with, for example, an @ symbol. In Composite, there are more features like grid views, expandable views, list views. We're not going to go into that right now. Here's an image view. An image view is essentially just a picture. Right now, I don't believe I haven't added an image file to the resources folder, so we can just click on IC Launcher. That's the little icon that is on the default icon. To drag in a picture, that's all you do. You just drag one in. Make sure that there are no uppercase letters in the picture name, by the way. Drop it into Res, Drawable HDPI, and copy the files. And then you go to the Source button in the Properties and pick the one you dropped in out of the list. There's a bunch of other components as well. There's a calendar view. There are image switchers, view flippers too, for example, that basically you can use to swipe your screen to the right or the left. If you try to add a calendar view, sometimes depending on the API that you compile with and your target, it's not always gonna work. See, here's an error because it wants a different API level. You can go into the XML side of the XML layout instead of the graphical one. See, it's sometimes easier to delete components that way. I prefer to add them using the graphical layout. When you're done, you want to save all and go ahead and run as Android application. If the emulator is already up, this won't take a long time, but if it's not, it does. And here it is. Here's the XML layout. That's it.